Hey guys, it's Lohpally here, and I'd like to let you know that I've partnered up with GameLeap so that we can bring you the highest quality games of League of Legends. The guide you'll be watching today is just one of many that we're currently working on making together. Check out GameLeap in the description below and let me know what you like. Now, let's get started. Today we're going to be going over THRESH Xayah versus Pyke Jhin. But before we jump into the video, we're going to be introducing you to our runes. So, in this laning phase, we're going to be taking Aftershock, Font of Life, Conditioning, and Overgrowth. In the secondary, we're going to be running Inspiration with Biscuits and Cosmic Insight, just for that extra sustain and extra CDR. So let's jump into the video. As you can kind of see from the snapshot, neither bot lane is going to be leashing. So in this circumstance, Jhin actually has the push advantage. So for the most part, we're just going to make sure that we're not getting level 2 or pressured too hard in the early stages. So as you can kind of see, I'm just auto attacking whoever is next to me. One thing to notice is I don't really want to use my Flay if I can avoid it on anybody because of the fact that I don't want Aftershock to go on cooldown. Plus, I want to be able to use my Flay to potentially cancel a full channeled hook by the Pyke. That's pretty much the primary things that you're kind of looking for in the early stages of the lane phase. Outside of that, you can just kind of see me auto attacking the minions just to make sure that we hit level 2 at a reasonable time. As long as we're hitting it about the same time and not getting all into level 2, that's the most important part. Another thing to note too is try not to stand next to the ranged minions, that way the bouncing grenade from Jhin isn't bouncing on top of you and dealing a lot of extra damage. Now, anytime that the hook goes down, as you can kind of see from right there, it means that I can start surging forward and taking control of the brush, as you can kind of see me from my positioning. And I'm just constantly clicking on anyone that I can and looking for auto attacks. But since the wave is now starting to push into me, I want to be playing defensively once again. In the early stages, you have better gank setup, but you have worse wave control, since Xayah doesn't push nearly as hard as Jhin bouncing grenade does. Because of this, it's just primarily the most important thing is to look at the waves and make sure you don't get wrecked in the early stages. Now, since Pyke hook is on cooldown, anytime that ends up happening, it allows me to walk forward and kind of do whatever I want. Since we're getting a gank right here, I'm going to flash and flay and use ignite immediately. I'm looking for the hook on a flash, but I end up missing it, and we end up overreaching a little bit. Because of this though, we still get a huge summoner advantage and now have lane control. Primary things are as follows in kind of these gank scenarios. So number 1, it's really obvious when someone wants to use a spell that you need to flash it. In this case, Jhin wants to always flash my hook. So what I end up doing in this gank scenario is flashing and flaying. This gives us the slow and gives my teammate the ability to clear the distance and jump on top of him without me giving up my hook, and we're going to burn ignite here. The reason for this is just to get as much damage as possible and make him more scared and more reasonably worried about himself, so he'll trade his flash potentially before my hook comes out. Now my jungler starts walking down and he gets the E off and immediately slows. A good job though by the Pyke is to hit the stun onto our Lee Sin. Now what our Lee Sin should have done is when this Pyke stun came out, he should have flashed over it like so. That way he'd be on top of where the Jhin is, Jhin couldn't flash anywhere, and he'd be dodging the stun. He does a good job though by sidestepping and then jumping to a ward and getting on top of him. Now the mistake that I make in this situation is throwing out my hook in a situation where I think his flash is going to be, since most people don't want to flash in a straight line. But I should have just thrown out my hook right here in a straight line anyway, because either 1, the Jhin flashes it and Pyke gets hit by it, or 2, he flashes somewhere that's suboptimal, like one of the sides, to dodge a hook, but then is too far away from the turret and can't escape. Because of this though, we do get a good ward hop, jumps QQ, and we force the summoner heal and flash out. On top of this, we also get the heal and ignite from the bottom lane. After that, I just flay in the Pyke and just get as much damage as possible. Even though we didn't potentially get a kill in that scenario, but if I had played it a little bit better, we might have still end up getting a lot of poke off. Now, since our Lee actually runs into the jungler, he's able to run away, and we end up setting up a trade kill. Now, the mistake that's kind of done in this scenario is as follows. People were overreaching on this play as much as we were overreaching on our play when we end up losing a lot of HP in the jungler. So, the first thing, Lee Sin jump W's to me and gains the summoner heal. After that, Pyke tries to E and then flash forward to reposition his stun, which is pretty good. But the problem is you can kind of see right here, no one's here to follow up. Jhin is way too far back, and the Elise is in spider form, so it's going to be substantially harder for them to get any damage on this player. Because of these scenarios, he's too far forward, and he's actually used both of his escape closers to get forward. Because of this, we just hit the Q on Lee Sin and score a kill. After that, I do fish for a hook, but I end up missing it. I should have shot it more in the centralization right here rather than trying to hit a hook on a juke, which I thought I was predicting, since he actually turned around and auto-attacked me instead of just juking the entire time. Now, since the wave is stuck on our side, we're actually able to just kind of keep a freeze and zone the AD carry away from any minions. Since he's down on summoners right now, and the jungle area has been forced away, and my jungler is in this vicinity, I just decided to take this second brush just to zone him away from any experience from the lane. This gives us a lot of options in terms of whether we want to push or pull the lane. Since my AD carry starts auto-attacking the minion wave, I'm just going to flay and auto-attack the ranged minions just to get the push going so that we can get this to the turret immediately. This will allow my AD carry to take a reset and buy items with the advantage that we've now garnered. One thing to note too is since the pike is shown middle, we know the fact that the AD carry would be alone and we don't have to worry about the lane getting frozen against us. After that, we just buy a coin upgrade, get our refillable potion, and immediately return back to lane. With the second wave of melee champions going to hit the minion wave to the turret, we don't have to worry about the lane being frozen, and it should start pushing back to us. Another thing to note too is both bottom laners have actually used their flash in the last skirmish / gank avoidance, so because of that, if I do end up hitting any hooks, I have extremely high kill pressure. Now, since there's a pink ward there and the wave is pushing to us, we really can't contest that right now since the wave will be on top of us, on top of the fact that we'd be fighting in the river, so we just let that pink ward stay for the time being and let the wave push to us. Since we're just fishing for hooks in this laning phase, I'm going to be maxing hook first just to reduce the cooldown, increase the damage, and just have access to hooks more frequently. Most important thing is just always holding brush control while the wave is on our side, but making sure that I don't fight too hard for the brush since I don't know where the jungler is. Reminder that the pink ward is in the river, so there's a lot of gank opportunities for the jungler to have against us. Now, since the bot lane is kind of missing right now, we want to make sure that they aren't potentially doing dragons, so you just kind of shift up, potentially look for any wards that we need to put down, and ping missing for our teammates to know. Since the pike can easily roam up to the mid lane, since he's already done that, I'm just trying to keep track of where the pike is and make sure that their advantage pushing bottom lane doesn't turn into an advantage in mid lane. Communicating with your teammates and making sure that ganks don't happen like that is very important, especially when you're playing against a roam heavy champion like Pike. And as you can kind of see, we're just constantly pinging MIA anytime the wave gets pushed to us. That way we don't end up getting screwed. Now, the reason why we don't play aggressively is once again, our jungler is on the top side, and he's creating map advantages there, so we want to make sure that we're just in a position where I can potentially throw a lantern and we don't die to any ganks. Now that we kind of see where the Elise is fighting my jungler, it gives us a lot more opportunities to step forward and potentially look for anything. As you can kind of see now that we know where the jungler is, I'm just walking forward and looking for hooks and trying to create pressure wherever I can. As my hook comes off cooldown too, this gives me the opportunity to just walk up and look for even more pressure. Since the wave is crashed in the middle, I don't have to worry about minions getting in my way at all, so we're just able to kind of do whatever we want. Since I get hooked in, there's no kill pressure on my AD carry anymore, and I just go for their AD carry and make sure that we force a trade kill. Now, a situation like that is pretty advantageous for us because of the fact that the wave is pushing towards the enemy AD carry, which means that he's most likely going to miss a lot of minions under the turret. Kind of breaking down that scenario is as follows. Making sure that you don't panic when you get all in and make sure that you know what target matters the most. Once I get hooked in, I just make sure that I aim my hook right at the Jhin who's walking forward to reinforce. Because the wave, once again, like talking about before, the wave is pushing towards them, it's very good to even just trade a kill. Since I don't have flash and I've been ignited right here, I just dump my ignite onto the enemy AD carry, flay him in, and just do as much damage as possible by auto-attacking. One thing that I should have done though in this all-in was pay a little bit closer attention to the feathers. What I should have done instead is after I hit the hook, pay attention to the feathers and where they're landing. As you can kind of see right here, there's 3 right here, and I actually flay the enemy AD carry out of the feathers. Had I not done that, I most likely actually would have gotten to survive that all-in, but I'm not quite sure if I would have lived after the pike. So, thanks to the fact that we're pushing it in all the way, my AD carry is able to actually fight for the wave and get another kill on their jungler. Now, unfortunately the wave is stuck on the turret, and their jungler is dead, so I don't really have anything to do in bottom lane since I bought hot Moby boots. Because of this, I'm just looking for roams, and I see that the Akali is walking into the wraiths, so I walk forward in this regard. Unfortunately, I do a bad job of shooting my hook and I end up missing, but thanks to a good play by Lee Sin, we're actually able to chase them down. Kind of breaking down all of the situations is as follows. Number 1, paying attention to where the Lohpally is moving and what I can do on the map. Since I can't do anything about breaking this freeze at all, there's no reason for me to go to this lane outside of just soaking a little bit of experience. Because of this opens up an opportunity for me to roam. As I can see right here, the Lohpally on my minimap is walking down and around to the race. I ping on my way and I see my jungler collapsing at the same time. I do a pretty bad job though looking for this hook, and what I should have done instead is just walk up and flay and then look for a hook afterwards. Maybe even just waiting until the shroud is down, walking up, flaying, and lanterning my jungler. Because of the fact that I missed the hook, I get question mark ping, which I deserve. After that, we're just going to flay and look for the chase on this Lohpally, which immediately forces her to use her ultimate over this location. This doesn't take her over the wall. A good Q by my Lee Sin and a ward hop behind allows him to kick the Lohpally back into us and score this extra kill. Well played by my Lee Sin, and even getting the flash on top of that. Now after that, this basically unlocks the opportunity for us to go into the jungle and drop some wards. So since I have a pink and no sightstone, I just pink this brush right here since a lot of people walk past it but don't usually walk through it, just to establish some vision. After that, my primary goal is to just look for wards. But because of the fact that the Elise walked too far forward, we're able to hit a hook, push her over with the blast cone, and score another kill. Kind of breaking down this one real quickly is as follows. We're just looking for wards and trying to get control of the bottom side. Now, because of the fact that he pops the vision and I can kind of see where he's walking to in a straight line, I just throw the hook where I think that he's about to land, and we fly all and over. Afterwards, we use our flay, and the Elise does a bad job of shooting his cocoon. Because there's a blast plant right here, I just blast plant the Elise over, which guarantees the secured kill. This means that doing dragon is significantly easier for us, and it scores another kill onto the table. Since we have numbers advantage, it's quite easy for us to just constantly auto attack this and guarantee another lockdown on a dragon. Now, thanks to the pressure that we have, we can kind of do whatever we want in bottom lane. We have the ocean dragon that's sustaining us, we just killed the jungler, and our jungler is clearing camps on the bottom side, which means we can play reasonably aggressive as long as we're not getting hooked under the turret. Now, one cool thing that you can kind of do on Thresh is as follows. Paying attention to minion HP and when they're about to die will allow you to have a lot more opportunities to look for skill shots and hooks in these lanes. So as you can kind of see right here, this minion is reasonably low and about to die. Because I know that, I'm going to walk forward and see how this minion is blocking me right now. I'm going to auto attack it, and then we're going to throw out the hook immediately. This allows us to kind of mask our intent because the auto attack and the hook kind of look a lot alike in terms of animations, and just steal a flash from him pretty easily after flaying, without committing pretty much any resources to it whatsoever. After that, we're just sitting in the brush and looking for any kinds of hooks that we possibly want. Looking for hooks on the support or the AD carry is good. Now, remember what I said before, our jungler is down here, so because of that, the support jumps in on us, we go on the jungler, and we end up scoring that kill. Afterwards, we're able to just kind of chase them down and score all of the kills as follows. So, kind of breaking it down. Number 1, where your jungler is actually an incredibly important part. So, this is important because our jungler is down here, he can reinforce. So, the next part is as follows. Pretty big mistake by the Pyke right here to E and flash, but he didn't actually extend the range and stun. Had he actually extended the range and stunned me, I still don't think this play would have gone very well since our Lee Sin's in the vicinity and we're incredibly far ahead already. So, we're just auto attacking whoever we can. And we want to make sure that we flay the Pyke Q because that's a full channel. Now, since our Lee Sin is incredibly strong and he lands a Q on the Elise, he just goes in on this guy and basically solos him from 100 to 0. This also forces the Pyke ultimate to try and gain some distance onto our Lee Sin, which means that they have no longer reset potential on us. After that, it's just a quick kick, guaranteed the kill on Elise, and now we're just playing front to back since they have no cooldowns and no summoners. After that, since I've held my flash and my hook the entire time, we are guaranteed another kill by throwing out the hook onto the Jhin and scoring another kill. So, in games like these, it's most important to kind of tackle some important things. Number 1, don't get harassed or lose a lot of HP in losing lane matchups in the early stages. Make sure you're playing around where your jungler is. That way you can play with him and set up ganks. Also, make sure that you're kind of holding on to your cooldowns. That way you can get efficiency out of each of the plays. Another thing to note too is make sure that in situations where being in lane doesn't do anything for you, you're constantly pinging and roaming around the map. That way you can make plays on other people like I did on the Lohpally and Elise. I decided to partner up with GameLeap because they focus on producing the highest quality videos with some of the top level challengers in League of Legends, including myself. They just launched today and you probably haven't heard about them yet, so bear with me. Their website, GameLeap.com, includes many in-depth videos and courses specifically designed to help you reach the highest desired rank a lot faster than you would on your own. Today we've got a special offer, so you can get your membership at 25% off. It costs about the same as a Twitch sub, but you can get so much more value in return. So get your membership to watch my new videos and much more. Click here to start. See you on the other side. Peace.